Hi, this is Steve Merril, wagertalk.com, right back here on Wager Talk TV with your all-star break, just a bit outside. Special video edition here. Look, I'm doing this on Thursday afternoon as we head into the final four-game set for most teams before the all-star break. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this weekend's action, but this is a bigger picture video here that's going to have a nice shelf life. So whether you're watching it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or even during the all-star break, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week, a lot of actionable info that you can use for the entire second half of the baseball season coming up here in this free video on Wager Talk TV. And keep in mind, we hit the halfway mark last week. All the teams crossed over the 81 games played, but the All-Star game is a week later than normal this year because we started a week later than normal because of the lockout and the shortened spring training. But we're getting all those games in. Season's played out pretty much as expected, but there's some play-on situations and also some play-against situations and teams, which I think can make you some money in the second half, which is about to begin after the All-Star break. So stay tuned. All that's coming up on this video here in just a moment. Quick reminder, though, that daily best bets for the rest of July are half price. It's quite simple. You buy one, you get one free. You don't even have to buy a second one to get it free. You just get half price on everything you buy on a daily basis at wagertalk.com. No promo code needed. Check out my baseball best bets every day for the rest of July and get a 50% discount on every single play you purchase, because the rest of July is 50% half price off. It's a customer appreciation special for the rest of July at wagertalk.com. Also, don't forget to check out the free plays on a daily basis on that website as well. Numerous free plays posted there. And during the baseball break, don't forget about all the other sports still going on at wagertalk.com. Okay, let's talk baseball, though, here in this video. And let's look at some first half winners and losers. And once again, I'm doing this video on Thursday afternoon. The final four-game set for most teams is set to begin tonight on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So these numbers might change by a game or two, but they're pretty much locked in here as we head into the All-Star break after this weekend. And first, let's look at the most profitable team first half of the season. Look, the best team has been the New York Yankees, without a doubt. They've had the best record in baseball for a couple months now. Heading into Thursday, 62-26, 70% winners. They could basically play 500 baseball the rest of the second half and still finish with 100-plus wins. I do think they'll regress at some point. It looks like that regression has maybe begun because over the past week, they've actually played 500 baseball, 5-5 their last 10. Struggled a bit with Cincinnati in a couple games. So, it does look like the Yankees have cooled off. We'll see how they rebound after the All-Star break. And just a big picture handicapping thing I use a lot in the NBA. The NBA is the ultimate motivation sport on a daily basis. It's really load management, who wants to show up on a given night in the regular season. So we always have to be really careful with the NBA before and after the All-Star break. Baseball is also a daily sport, and these guys are in a rhythm, a routine, so it does disrupt some teams more than others. Keep an eye on the home run derby on Monday. Guys that participate in that, I'm always very careful using them and their team, especially if you're looking at player props over the next week or so. That home run derby can mess guys up. Several guys have come out and really struggled in the second half. Sometimes their swing is off because they've overswung, fatigue factor. So bad teams don't have a lot of guys in the All-Star game. Sometimes they get distracted with family and vacations next week. Other times, some teams that have a lot of players get worn out. The Yankees have definitely cooled off a bit. The Astros have also not hit the ball well. The other really good team in the American League over this past week heading into the All-Star break as well. So keep an eye on the Yankees in Houston. Tread lightly with them out of the gate. But the Yankees were the most profitable team in baseball for most of the year, but the Baltimore Orioles surpassed them this past week. Heading into Thursday, they're like 5 games above everyone else in the league. So even depending on how they do over the weekend, Orioles are going to finish the first half as the most profitable team in baseball, most likely. And what a story that is. The Yankees were expected to be good. No surprise there. Their season win total, by the way, was around 92.5. They're obviously going to crush that. The Dodgers were around 97. That was the highest coming in. But the Orioles had the lowest win total of the season before baseball began in April, 62.5 range. I even saw 61.5. So say 62 games. The Orioles were supposed to go 62-100. Heading into Thursday, they just won their 10th straight on Wednesday night. They cracked above 500 for the first time. They're just 2 games out of the wild card. Fantastic story in Baltimore, and it's for real. Their bullpen has been top 5 in ERA most of the season. They've been the number 1 run line team for quite a while. Now they're the number 1 money line team. And they've really been getting it done at home. In fact, they're the most profitable home team in all of baseball this season. On the road, they're only 5th or 6th, depending on which numbers you look at. So Baltimore at home's been a play. Not a surprise. It's a young, talented team with some youth. They've been playing a lot better at home this season. So keep an eye on the Orioles. I think they'll continue to play well after the break. At some point, they do start to fade. But as you all know, I don't dodge those speeding bullets. I don't try to catch falling knives. wait until the Orioles fade. We'll see if the All-Star break maybe disrupts some of that incredible Cinderella momentum. Hey, speaking of falling knives, the LA Angels have been the biggest falling knife the last month or two. This is an Angels team that had high hopes this year with Ohtani and Mike Trout healthy finally. They were leading the division a couple months ago at 27-17. Right after being the division leader at 27-17, they lost 14 straight games in 18 of their next 20. They got a win on Wednesday night this past week with Ohtani on the mound. They've gone 3-0 with him on the mound. They were 0-9 in all other games in between. Ohtani has been the best pitcher in baseball the last couple months. He's obviously the best player, one of the best hitters, one of the best pitchers. That makes him the best player. But he's probably been the best pitcher in all of baseball over the past month. In fact, he has been. He gave up just one run this past Wednesday. That was only the second earned run in 39 innings over the last 6 starts that he's given up. An ERA below half a run per 9 innings over the last 6 starts now. Not only did he have 12 strikeouts, but he had 2 hits as a leadoff hitter in that game on Wednesday night this past week. We'll see if the All-Star game disrupts him. Didn't really do so last year. He came right out of the gate, and the guy that's a two-way player, hard to imagine anything's going to disrupt him. So Ohtani's fun to watch, great story, but the Angels have definitely been a falling knife. We'll see if they regroup after the All-Star break, but I'd have to take a wait-and-see approach with them. So one of the biggest winning team, the Orioles, and once again, one of the biggest money burners with the Angels. In fact, the Angels are only the second worst money burner in baseball. The worst is right down the beltway from the Orioles. The Washington Nationals, World Series champs just 3 years ago, have actually lost more units heading into Thursday night before the break than any other team in baseball. 13-31 at home, really bad home team. So the exact opposite of their cousins up the road in Baltimore. Managerial changes. We've seen a few of them this season. Of course, the Phillies had one back on June 3rd, and the Phillies won 8 straight games after that change during a 9-game winning streak, and it started with a 10-0 win that first night without their manager, Joe Girardi. I bring that up because the Phillies were playing the Blue Jays earlier this week, and after the Blue Jays won 4-3, they fired their manager, Charlie Montoyo, and they came out and won 8-2 on Wednesday night. They now have a 4-game set heading into the All-Star break against the really bad Royals, who've been the worst, one of the 2 second worst teams, depending on the A's and Royals decide to flip places. A's and Royals have really fought for the worst record in baseball, definitely in the American League all season. And then, of course, going into Toronto, the Royals are without 9 or 10 guys because of the vaccine mandates, other issues crossing the border. So you've got one of the worst teams in baseball without half their roster. It's even worse now. So we'll see how Toronto fares. I would expect them to do pretty well this weekend. We actually talked about this on Wager Talk today on Thursday with Dave Koken and Andy Lang. And Andy, the prop master at wagertalk.com. And Dave had mentioned he'd look for a 4-game sweep prop. Andy pulled it up for us. It was plus 270 at DraftKings. So really surprising that it wasn't a little bit lower. So we'll see how that plays out. But the Blue Jays definitely have a chance to pick up 3, if not 4, against the Royals. And that managerial change should be enough to get them going. We'll see if the All-Star break disrupts things. But Toronto's been one of the bigger underachievers. It might not show on the money line necessarily, or definitely not in the standings. They're tied for the last wild card spot as of Thursday with the Red Sox, only 1.5 behind the Rays, only 2 ahead of those Orioles, by the way. But Toronto was supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball, and 15.5 games behind the Yankees does not look like they're going to win that division. We'll see if the managerial change sparks the team. I think it will. I also think the layoff, the All-Star break will be good for the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays could definitely be a play-on team in the near future, although once they get hot, it probably won't take long for the odds makers to overprice them, as they do have a lot of talent there in Toronto. So a lot of interest there in the AL East, to say the least, as every playoff team for the wild card spot looks like it's going to come out of that division. Central is interesting. Minnesota's handful of games up on Cleveland and Chicago. Yet in the future odds, the White Sox are still less than 2-1 to win that division, despite being 2 games below 500 currently. The Indians and Guardians are about 5-1. Minnesota's about minus 125 there. We'll look at the National League here. I mentioned the Dodgers were the team to beat coming into the season. Not a surprise. They've been great against the run line. They've had some one-run wins recently, but once again, if you play the Dodgers, you either play a minus 1.5 run line to win by 2 or more, or you take the other team outright. They've lost numerous times this year as a $2 favorite or more. So the Dodgers, it's all about motivation and focus. But when the postseason rolls around, I think they'll definitely be in the mix. Another team that's really interesting is the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves in the NL East. Atlanta was below 500 midseason last year. They went on to win the World Series. Heading into Thursday, they're 16 games above 500. They've been just red hot. Another team that when they win, they cover the run line. In fact, they were on a 27-6 run going into last week, and 24 of those 27 wins had been by 2 runs or more. So once again, with good teams Don't lay the $2, the 220. Get it down to more of a pick 'em range at the -1.5 run line. Teams like the Dodgers and Braves, especially, continue to win by margin when they win, or they just lose outright a lot of times, and the other team cashes at plus money on the money line. Mets 2.5 games ahead of the Braves heading into Thursday for this last weekend set. I think the Braves probably catch them at some point and win this division in the second half. But the Mets make the playoffs. They're going to be tough. I still would not be shying away from any Mets futures. I mentioned this with Milwaukee last year with Burns and Woodruff in that rotation. Milwaukee, by the way, a couple games up in the Central. Both Milwaukee and the New York Mets are going to be tough teams in the playoffs. I think they'll actually be better than Atlanta just because of that pitching rotation. If DeGrom can get healthy and return to this rotation, having Max Scherzer and Jacob DeGrom in 4 or 5 out of 7 games is going to be very tough. Same with the Brewers with Burns or Woodruff. I mentioned them last year. They didn't get it done, but the Brewers could have some sneaky value as well and some of those future odds to win the NL or even to win the World Series if you're looking that way. All right, going to wrap it up real quick here with some bullpen numbers here. You know, baseball's changed so much the last few years or last decade. Starters only go half the game now. Bullpen, it's so difficult to handicap the randomness of who's going to be there on a given night. But looking at overall bullpen stats still give you a pretty good barometer to go with. The Astros and Yankees, no surprise. The two best teams in the American League have been the two best bullpens in the American League this year as well. Currently 1 and 2 in ERA. The biggest surprise, though, Atlanta's third, by the way, Baltimore fifth, as I mentioned, but the Detroit Tigers are fourth. Even the Dodgers are sixth. The Rays are seventh. Detroit has the fourth best bullpen ERA this year. And I bring that up because they've been a really bad team overall. It's because their offense has been just terrible. So maybe if that offense can get going, there's a little bit of value with Detroit, especially on the full game lines because their bullpen has kept them live in many games. Hey, speaking of offensive numbers, you know I like to look at road numbers only, and that's because you got to take out some of the hitter-friendly ballparks. All ballparks are different. So if you're looking at road numbers only, every team has played 40-plus road games now. It's giving you a pretty good feel for the good and bad offenses. Colorado Rockies are number 1 at home. They're number 12 overall in baseball, and basically all the big stats, runs scored, batting average, OPS. So misleading because, once again, they're number 1 at home, number 12 overall, but then you pull up road numbers only for the Rockies, 27th in OPS. They're down to bottom 3 or 4 in almost all those stats. So once again, look at road numbers only when looking at offense. And those Detroit Tigers have the worst on-base plus slugging. They're the worst offensive team on the road this season, even though they have the third best bullpen overall. Cincinnati Reds, second worst offensive team on the road based on my ratings. Angels, third worst. And not a surprise as both those teams have struggled. Orioles are 22nd worst offense on OPS. That's on-base plus slugging. There's different metrics you can look at, but that's a pretty good overall barometer. So that, once again, the Orioles have been getting by with that bullpen in close games. You do wonder if maybe that starts to give as they fatigue in the second half of the season. One final stat I like to look at, of course, last year we talked about run differential. The Mariners were the most extreme example. They should have been about 14 games worse than they were because they had a negative run differential. This year, as we head into the break, some teams that should be better than they are. Texas, 4 games under 500, but they're plus 10 runs. They should be 2 games up. Some other teams that are interesting, if you look at the Central, the Twins are the only team with a positive run differential in that entire division. You look at the AL East, the Orioles are -6 heading into Thursday. They're the only team with a negative run differential. Same thing in the NL East. The Nationals over 145 negative runs. Every other team, including the Marlins, as of Thursday at least, are plus in that division. So the Eastern divisions are really strong in both leagues. And one final thing I've talked about the last couple of weeks is one-run games. A lot of that is random variance. And the Texas Rangers have been the most unlucky team this year in one-run games. And that's another reason I think Texas could be a play-on squad. Not only should they have a winning record with a positive run differential, but they've also been extremely unlucky in close games. Heading into Thursday night, this final weekend series, 5-18. The Rangers are just 5-18 in one-run games. Now, a lot of times teams struggle because they have a weak bullpen, other factors. That's actually not the case with Texas, though, and that's why I really do think a lot of that is just random variance. If you look at the Rangers bullpen this year, coming into this week at least, they're top 10 in ERA, and their WHIP is pretty darn good as well. They're top 7, top 8 in both ERA and WHIP. So this is one of the upper third bullpens in baseball, yet the Rangers are still just 5-18 in one-run games. So I think Texas could be a play-on team in the second half of the season after the All-Star break. Hey, look, hope you found this video useful. It's kind of rapid fire, a lot of just a bit outside information for you that you can take to the bank, hopefully, not only this weekend, but more importantly for the whole second half and the near future for the baseball season. And don't forget about the rest of July because it's half price at wagertalk.com. Every best bet every day, half price, no promo code needed. 50% discount for every daily play that you buy for the rest of July. Check me out on a 60% run in baseball. We've been smoking it for several months now. I put up daily free plays as well on my page, Steve Merril, wagertalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. That's WT.buzz/SM. Quick reminder also, the Wager Talk meet and greet August 19th to the 21st at the Westgate Super Contest weekend in Las Vegas. If you'd like to get a special discount for the Westgate $45 a night rooms, also like to join us for the three-point contest, the golf outing, the meet and greet, which is the most important event, that's Saturday, August 20th. More information on the web at wt.buzz/MG. That's wt.buzz/MG for the meet and greet. Also, check out my Twitter handle for more information at Steve Merril. You know the deal, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L. Hey, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give it a thumbs up, and leave me your thoughts and comments below. I read everyone, I reply back. Who are your play on and play against teams for the second half of the baseball season? Have a great All-Star break. Enjoy the weekend. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you again soon right here on Wager Talk TV.